Firstly, I want to thank you for accepting my invitation and accepting to talk with me.
Well, no, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. I know you're busy and you do a lot of interviews. I'm impressed.
So I thought to thank you for that, and I thought to introduce you to my audience.
All right. Do you want
So
to? You want to do
yeah,
the introduction? Shall I?
yeah, I want you to introduce yourself to the world.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Stephen Coghlan. I am a multi-genre indie published author, which means I'm not published with any big house. I'm published with a bunch of small houses. So all the little craft houses you guys hear about, I'm like that weird small. Trying to think of a reference for India. Well, I would say like a craft brewery or a small music scene. Nothing big, but a bunch of stuff is put out.
So you are from
I'm from Canada, the Great White North, and yes, there is. Well, it's not snow right now, but it is very cold outside.
Canada, in which city?
Ottawa, close enough to Ottawa, so the national capital. I know a lot of people is, but Toronto's a provincial capital, not a national.
Next year in this time I'll be there in Vancouver, Canada.
Oh man, Vancouver's a bit far away for me, but enjoy when you get there.
So so we'll talk about your work.
All right. Well, I've been writing for years. I don't know how child friendly. Everybody seems so polite on your videos, so I don't want to go and be the crass guy, but I have a very crass mouth, so I apologize in advance if I go there. But I started writing to impress a lady. Unfortunately, that relationship fell through, but I've been writing ever since because my love for the written word has outlasted the love of that relationship. And writing has since become a catharsis for me, a method to express how I feel inside. So I've written a bunch of things. I've written for the anthropomorphic or the furry world, so the guys in fursuits and costumes. I've written for them. I've written I've written horror. I've written young adult. I've written erotic human centaur mythology. So, so I have a pretty vast repertoire, and most of it is written either for fun or on a dare. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so you are into multi genres.
Sorry, I
You are into multi genres. You
I'm a
wrote
multi-genre. Yeah,
yeah, horror, and you said you are into human beings and you are into mythology.
yeah. Well, I'm into a little bit of everything, which is pretty much like me. I'm a jack of all trades. You've
Okay.
interviewed a couple of other guys who will say the same, right? The
Yeah.
former, yeah. You, after all, I could always point towards a certain intelligence operative you interviewed recently.
But this is very new. You started writing because you wanted to impress a person in your life.
I'm being honest. That's why it's not why most of us do something, right? I, I was dating a girl and she was in a writing group, and I thought if I could join this writing group, maybe I could woo her more.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
it worked at the time, but the relationship wasn't meant to be. But it did set me down a much further path and a much
Okay.
more different one.
So that made you to become a good writer today.
I wouldn't say good. I'm experienced, yes, but good is a matter of perspective at this point. I am published, so I guess in a way you could say I'm doing better than most people, and I'm published with a house, several small houses, which again is an accomplishment in itself. Am I good? That's up to the reader to decide. I think I am, but personally, I could toot my own horn until the cows come home. Nothing is going to go ahead and help that out.
So how many books you have published?
Um, I'm actually looking at them right now. I've got what, four novels, four novels, two two novellas, and a whole whack of anthologies that I'm part of, and one anthology that is from my works, one of my worlds. So I could bring them down, but I'd have to get up, and you'd lose me for a second.
Yeah, sure, you can.
Okay, hang
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
All right. So when I say I'm multi-genre, this is how we're about to get serious here. Hang on, headset. All right. So I have books ranging from young adult anthropomorphic. This is
Gathering Storm.
yeah. So this is across Canada young adult adventure story, and it's part of a trilogy. The other two books, due to COVID, I don't have one set of copies. It's only a second. I have science fiction space opera.
Okay.
So there's only
Noble Seedling.
it's this is a space opera in written that's safe for all audiences to read, but it's a found family action adventure, giant robot alien cross universe stuff. Um, if you're ever interested in any of these and you want to try and read them, I can always go ahead and send you a copy in particular. um, I have Dream Punk. I
Urban.
have Dream Punk Urban. So this is another one with some Canadian touch to it, but it involves a burned out and drugged up ex uh, ex soldier veteran who finds himself saving the world of the Dreamers. So that's urban gothic. I have a human centaur crop opera erotica. As I warned you, 50 Shades of Nay. And I don't know. I always have to be careful because I have friends and family all over the world, and I have to remember that not everybody has the same noise that
Yeah,
an
can you
animal
hear me?
makes. I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, connection for a sec.
The last book, 15 Shades,
50
50
Shades
Shades
of Grey.
of Name.
Yeah, that's an erotic human centaur erotica. So it's the mythology one, but it started as a joke. I swear it started as a joke. It was one of those, I mentioned it. Publisher dared me to write it. 4 weeks later, it was written and published, or written and signed. So it has to do with centaurs, half human, half horses, involved in World War One or trying to stay out of the horrors of World War One. So there's that, and there's anthologies, the horror ones like Remnants, where it's taken from one of the worlds I created, and 12 other authors joined me in writing stories for it. So that's the big works I'm involved in, and then I'm involved in a bunch of anthologies and little stories. So just a just a couple of other things I've been involved with. Not to be too fast, but
Okay.
when I say I'm multi-genre, I'm not kidding.
I can see the Area 51.
Yeah, the Area 51. That's let me get that one. You remember? I don't know how big the news was about Storm Area 51. Do you remember the Storm Area 51? Was it big news in your area?
I have some information that I have seen in internet.
Yeah, and you've seen the Naruto running, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
this was an anthology by a company in Australia.
Okay.
They wanted to write about storming Area 51 and get it out before the actual event occurred. So I've got three stories in this.
Okay.
And so this comes from Black Hair Press, and
Okay.
it involves stories where basically the horrors of Area 51 get released, people deal with the world, and then people deal with the aftermath. And so that's where this one comes in. Hang on. I I'll have to go for a sec. I've got a crying baby.
Yeah,
Be
I'll
right
wait. I'll wait for sure. Yeah.
going halfway around the world, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
26,000 kilometers.
yeah, that's just a little distance. Oh, yeah, just a little distance. It's, uh,
Can you please put your mic near to your mouth so that I can hear you?
I
It's
keep
too low.
trying. Sorry.
Yeah, this is too good.
Let me just try and reset this again. Better?
Yeah, if you hold your mic so that audience can hear you clearly.
What I should do is just tape it to my face right there. It would be perfect. Unfortunately, the
Yeah.
tape's in another room, and I'm not getting up again. I've gotten up enough. So, yeah, where were we?
So you
Sorry.
was telling about the Area 51 and
Yeah, well, that's just one of the anthologies I've been involved with. I've been involved with a lot of little things over the years. Basically, I started writing, as said, to impress a girl when I was 16, but I didn't get published until I was in my mid 30s. You can tell by the gray hair I'm not exactly a spring chicken, although I feel pretty young. But I've only recently been published for about, what, 6 years now? 7 years? Six? Something like that. It's 6 or 7 years I've been published. So I've been involved in a lot of little things, but I'm still trying to get a bunch of my earlier works out because I've learned a lot over the years. I'm not the same author I was when I was 18. I'm not the same
okay.
person I was when I was 18. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm glad that it took me so long to get published. I was a bit of a jerk in my younger years. I'm hopefully not as big a jerk now, although I can still be one from time to time. Uh, so, shall we continue, or do you want to ask another question?
Yeah, you are telling one by one, so I'm listening to you.
Okay. And, like, to say I've been involved in a few things, like, I've been involved in multiple works. So, I've been involved in anthologies from all over publishing. Just little ones, though. Nothing big, none of the big names yet. And which is probably for the better at this moment, because it's letting me go ahead and experiment in anthologies and stories that, if I was a big name, I might not take the risk in doing. Because there's something about the freedom. I'd love to be a big name across the world, but is that going to be the case? How many bands make it big, right? How many, how many small businesses make it big? Very few. So I have to face the reality that I might not become a big name, but I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it while I can. So, do you have any? Do you have another question? Or
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of books. I mean, how much time you took write all these books?
well, some of these are anthologies, right? So they're collections with short stories in them. So a short story can take me as little as a day if I have the time and I go uninterrupted, or it can take me years. Some of these stories are works that I've been working on for, as said, since I was 18, 19. So I was 19 and wasn't published until, what was it, 2013? So yeah, about 7 years. Or didn't sign it until 20 until I said I was in my mid 30s. So some of them have been works in progress for 15, 20 years.
Okay.
So
But
it's
I want
not.
to,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
go on.
No, no, you. You're the
Yeah,
interviewer.
I want to talk about the second book that you have shown, which is about the aliens and which is
If that's the one,
sci-fi.
yeah,
Yeah,
sci-fi. Okay, so Nobilis.
yeah.
This is
So you
part
are
of.
into, yeah, you are
Well,
into space too.
I
No, this
love
not this one, not this one. The
not that one.
before one, the aliens.
Hang on, this one.
No. The in the beginning, I think in the first, second or third book you have shown me.
Well, this was the second book I showed you. This is Nobilis Seedling. This is the one with the
Okay,
aliens.
okay.
Yeah. Basically, you know what a space opera is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, this is the start of a space opera. I have been planning this one again for years and years. And well, let me read the back. When her there's two summaries here. When her family of intergalactic hippies are brutally murdered before her eyes, a young woman inadvertently recruits the help of a grizzled veteran turned janitor, an exiled alien princess and her indebted human husband, four enslaved children, a genius scientist with not one social grace, and a giant alien that contains her brother's soul in order to help her maintain her freedom and her life. So I don't know how familiar you are with animes. I haven't seen you talk about Japanese animation much on your videos,
Okay.
but basically this is like a giant robot anime mixed science fiction elements like you would find. Well, it's deep sci-fi, so it takes place well into the future, where humanity is not the main species. We're not even like humanity isn't even big. We're a small part of the entire intergalactic realm, and people are for sale. People are a commodity, and it's a note on it's a satire in a way on the present commercialized system and how we treat human lives, how we view work as so important. But at the same time, it's also a found family adventure. It involves giant robots. It involves mysterious pasts, and it involves people keeping their secrets from the people they love. So, not to get too much into it, but I hope that's a good summary right there. But again, if you are interested about it, seeing as you're interviewing me, I can always go ahead and send you an electronic copy to read.
Yeah, definitely. I will read. I didn't read any person's book till today, but seeing your collection, seeing your knowledge, I want to read some book of yours.
Well, I hope to go ahead and entertain you in the very slightest, make you smile because you've got a charming smile there right now. I'm kind of jealous. Your smile looks better than mine. Plus, you got better hair. I've had this haircut since I was 12. All right. So, anything else you want to chat about, or should I talk to death about all my books? Because
I don't think I have enough experience to talk about your books. I mean, about books and about writing than you.
well, you've interviewed a lot of people though. That's the thing, right? You've reached out. You're reaching out to a lot of people. You're getting experience, and for that I applaud you. Plus, you're spreading the word for many authors, and to do so from India, that's impressive to see. Because generally, people shy away from India for some reason. I might have some Indian blood in me, but it's a couple of generations back. And it comes from my British side, so we already know where this is going. So, so people tend to shy away from India, especially North America. India has a bad rap in a lot of ways, especially in the literary world, because people are always saying, "Oh, they stole books." What can I say about that? I, you know what? India is a part of the world. They should go ahead. They should be able to enjoy. And I don't see enough Indian authors. Like I don't see enough authors from India publishing, but it could be just my follow who I follow on Twitter and everything. So if you want to go ahead and push those guys towards me, that would be great too. Because the more we can spread this and get this global love of books going, the better it'll be for everybody.
Just now, 15 minutes before you was waiting, I did an interview with a Indian, and especially she lives in my state, my city.
Oh
For the
wow!
first time, I did with Indian and with South Indian and with who lives in my state. Just now, just 15 minutes before, I'm sure you will love that video.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and check out your YouTube channel again it's very shortly. I'll probably be watching it on and off today with everything else going on, which I'm not allowed to talk about my personal life too much. So on that,
Okay.
I pissed off a lot of people, political groups, because I don't know how familiar you are with North America right now and its political situation, but I'm stepping on a lot of toes because I'm outspoken. And
Okay.
yeah, I'm outspoken and I'm a big believer in human equality. And some people don't like that. And that's fine. They don't like it. They can go ahead and talk to me about it and I'll tell them they're wrong. People are beautiful. They deserve to be talked about. We're a global world now. And everybody deserves the same bloody respect.
Correct.
Yeah, Well, I'm glad you share the same feelings because if you didn't, we'd have a very awkward silence coming up. Are you writing it all yourself?
Yeah, I have websites where I will write the daily observations of mine, but I'm not like experienced. I don't have enough experience. Just I'll write what I observe.
Yeah, but writing what you observe is beautiful. Writing what you observe is how you learn, right? If you just picked nobody picks up a book and is a great writer. Trust me, if you saw my works when I was 18 years old, you would be gagging. They're hard to read. There's a bunch of mathematics and sciences involved and I ramble on and on and on and on because I wasn't experienced. I had to learn from people. People, this book here is nothing like it was when I was 18.
Okay,
This one is much closer to what I was when I was 22, but I'd already
okay,
learned a lot.
okay,
But writing is, a lot of people say write what you know. And I say write what you need to tell. One of the
okay,
most important things with writing is you write what you want the audience to know and you give them hints so they can figure it out. Because there's nothing more rewarding for a reader than reading and saying, I get it, I understand, and you didn't have to spill everything out for me. This is where, do you know what show versus tell is? Have you heard of that?
no,
All right, show versus tell is to tell. All right. The moon was out that night to show. He raised his glass, the moonlight sparkling in the drink. Right? One just says it, blah. That's the tell. The show is to show it through other objects. You create an atmosphere. By raising the drink, you can tell he's either thirsty, he's desperate, he's lonely, he's celebrating, there's something going on. And the moonlight twinkling in the glass sets the whole atmosphere. It tells you it's nighttime. It tells you that it's dark enough that the moonlight is reflecting in the glass. You get a whole picture. And that's what I've come to think of good writing is. Good writing is something that tells a whole picture in fewer words. It's not just description, it's creation of the scene. It's the dialogue showing the emotions, not saying he was angry, but showing how they're angry in the words, showing how they're angry and how they pause. When you get upset with somebody, do you just I'm angry? Brr. No, you grit your teeth, you bite back words, you breathe harder. You take a deep breath, you exhale with force. There's a whole bunch of things going on, and that's part of showing. And that's what I think helps to make a good story.
so you have published a lot of books, right? So what is the response that you got, and do you take the response seriously?
The responses I get is they're generally good books, but people find flaws in them. And I admit, I'm not perfect. Do I take responsibility? I write for reasons that I want to take responsibility for. I have stories out right now that are coming out, or in some cases that are. There's a story in here. This is from Thurston Howell Publications. They're the main publisher I work with because they're very. It's a very liberated organization mentally. They think that everybody's beautiful, and I appreciate that. And there's a lot of other reasons why I continue to work with them. But I write sometimes to make a point. Again, this here is a satire, right? It's a satire of modern day politics, modern day consumerism, modern day capitalism. It's a satire on it. I write and I'm taking responsibility for my opinions in these stories. And I am going to piss some people off. That's part of writing. It's art. Art is there to make a statement. Art is there to make a point. And if you can't do that with your words, then you just have to try a little harder. And eventually you're going to do it. And yes, some people are going to become upset. Sometimes writing is just for fun. Sometimes writing is just something you do to entertain somebody or something you do on a dare. But even this, I've thrown in political commentary because I've come to realize I'm white in North America. I've got a leg up around everybody. But if I can't put my word towards making the world slightly better, even by showing, the mistakes of humanity in the past, what good am I doing as an author? All right.
Okay. So you said that every person should, if he's a writer, he should write what exactly he wants to say.
Well, you're trying to convey a message, aren't you?
Yes,
Yeah. Well, then say it. Now, it could just be you trying to say that the world is beautiful. Then you're going to say that. But
but
if
there will
you're,
be consequences for the expression.
there's always consequences, no matter what you do.
Okay.
You have to realize that there's going to be consequences. You accept there's going to be consequences. Sometimes those consequences may be beyond what you expect.
Okay.
Sometimes you might have to say you're sorry.
Okay.
Sometimes you might have to admit that you're wrong.
Okay.
And it's very hard to do. I know I have a lot of trouble doing it. I'm arrogant, right? I'm right, damn it. I'm big, I'm mean, I'm ugly. Arr, I'm old enough. You should listen to me. I've got gray hairs. Ah! But at the same time, I will make mistakes, and I do make mistakes. And sometimes my opinions have hurt some people. Sometimes I don't mind if they hurt certain people,
Okay.
but other times I might. Sorry, dog's in the back. Give it a moment. But sometimes I might say something that will hurt, and people I didn't intend to hurt, and that's where I have to say I'm sorry.
So, what do you say about the people who stops writing because of the consequences that they face if that is negative?
They're brave. You're writing because you're writing, and you're aware of consequences, but sometimes writing has been necessary. Sometimes writing has changed the way we view the world. Now, unfortunately, I'm European, so I'm not going to have as much influence or as much knowledge about the Asian area as I would like. But even like the Rig Vita, right? It it inflames some people to this day. Sometimes you do write to inflame. Other times you write to notify, but you're always writing for a reason, even if it's just to make somebody smile. But no matter what you do, there are going to be consequences.
I think you're provoking everything because you're into every genre.
Well, every it's because I grew up reading. I grew up. Um, I don't know how much you know about Canada. I know you know Vancouver a little bit. You've done your
Yeah.
research, but Canada's a very open area. There's a lot of space, and I grew up in the woods.
Okay.
So I grew up in the woods. There was without very good TV, so I wasn't going to plunk myself down. So it was either run around through the woods,
Okay.
run half a kilometer to a neighbor to play with the kid that I might not always get along with, or read. And my parents had a library, a small library in their house, and it was a way for me to sit down and enjoy the world. I enjoyed the world through books. I still do. I'd love to read more. I just don't have as much time. You see how busy I am, and I apologize for all the trouble we've had getting together. But reading has been a way for me to experience the world. It's been a way for me to escape, and I've enjoyed multiple genres over my life. So it's a bit of a challenge sometimes, and I like that I try out different genres. I don't want to be typecast. I don't want to be just known for one thing. I want to be a guy who's known for having the skill, the word, but also the emotion behind it. Well, I'm really bearing my heart to you today.
No, no. So why you write?
um, well, you know the original reason why I started writing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
To
yeah.
impress a girl, but it's become a method of stress relief and catharsis. In especially in a lot of areas, right? Us guys, we're not supposed to talk about our feelings, right? We're supposed to keep them all bundled up, and I suffer from that. I work in the trades, so
Okay.
construction.
Okay.
So a construction worker is not supposed to talk about his feelings. He's just supposed to grab a hammer and whack a wall even
Correct.
harder if something doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and it's kept me like I grew up partly restraining myself, despite my parents wanting me to open up more often. And it's happened that I've closed off more and more of my opinions, my thoughts, my feelings. Writing is my way to get it out. In my writing, I can express myself in a way that I might not be able to in my regular words. Because the other thing is, I don't do well in a verbal confrontation.
Okay.
right? But I can take the time when I write, I can take the time to make it sound exactly how I want to. I don't have to tell the person, wait, 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 wait. I'm going to compose a lovely sentence for you to listen to me talk. No, no, no. I can sit down and I can go over and I can edit before it gets out there. Meaning I can write a book. And if the book is crud, at least it's written. Then I can
Okay.
take the time and make it shine without somebody leaning over me and saying, "You don't say that right." No, by the time it gets to somebody like a house or an agent, somebody I can submit to, it's polished enough that I feel confident they can understand it. And then the other thing is, I can ask them, "Do you understand? If not, let me know and help me make it work." That's why there are editors, right? Have you haven't submitted work? Do you know the steps of submitting a work? Right? Like you write a book, you edit
Yeah.
it, you submit
Yeah.
it. It goes in for review. If they don't like it, they tell you why. You polish it up, and I appreciate that part too. That's why I'll always work within a house. I'll always work within a publishing house because I need people to tell me when something doesn't make sense. I need people to tell me if something goes on too long, right? It's rambling. I need the help, and I appreciate the help I get.
Okay. But what do you think when you see the books that you have already published and in which the thoughts that you have in that particular time, which means the first book, when we talk about the first book, when you were 17, you wrote that book. But today, if you see that book and you are seeing your own thoughts today, and what was your thoughts at that particular time, what do you feel? You know, all your books are your experiences, and you are just uh, showing your experiences to the world. So, what do you personally feel when you read it when you are alone?
Well, first, I'm going to admit pride. I feel pride. I never like just to even be published with a small indie house is a massive amount of pride. Secondly, sometimes I feel embarrassed. I'm laying out a lot in subtle ways about myself, and it can be scary. And if I compare my books of old to my books of new, like if I can compare the original story that I wrote to what's out now, sometimes I feel glad that it's changed, and sometimes I feel upset that so much has changed. Again, I'm not the person for a lot of these stories, I'm not the person I was when I started them. But that's fine. I've grown up. I like to think I've matured. Sometimes I'm still immature, but I mean, hey, who isn't, right? But I can definitely see a progress. And the most important and strongest feeling I have is that I have progressed. I have changed, and I think I've changed for the better. And I like that about myself. I'm not the same person I was. I'd like to think it's reflected in these stories.
Then that is a proof that you was feeling at that particular time.
Sorry, say again. I missed that.
Your previous book is proof that you are thinking like that at that particular time.
Oh man, that's why I edited them. There were a lot of changes. Um, I haven't always been the nicest person. I have been mean. I have been racist. I have been a jerk in my life. And sometimes in my earlier drafts, they were there. There was mention. There was hate that shouldn't have been. As said, I've I'm a couple of years older than you. It's just a few, right? We won't say how many. I'm a couple of years older than you, and unfortunately, we come from slightly different climates, right? Slightly different mentalities, and I wasn't always the nicest person. I had a sense of superiority. I had a sense of I'm right, everybody else is wrong. I would make comments that, seemed to me to be normal, right? I was working construction, I was in college, I was a bouncer at one point. So I'd inject my own views. And unfortunately, sometimes those views harm people that now I care about. Now that I've learned, they're not that different from me.
Okay.
So I'm glad that my stories have been edited because there's cases where I'm like, that was not the right thing to say.
But you have wrote a lot of books, right? So while starting a particular book, have you ever felt that I'm going to create impact, and the people who will get affected with my words are going to affect me.
Yes, there's a few books like that. One of the ones I have coming out is it's a cyberpunk novella, and it's based on the American justice system. That one alone, doing the research on it was painful because I actually contacted people who'd been in prisons, people who'd been accused, and I heard stories, and it was gut wrenching, and it like I could go into it, but it was such a trauma just doing the research and getting the words down that it took me almost a year to write 30,000 words because it hurt. A lot of what I was doing was, well, it was changing me as a person too. That's coming out, and it's I'm hoping it has an impact. I really am. I'm hoping it makes people stop and think and go, wow, yeah, maybe we're not the free world we claim to be. That is probably the one that's had the most impact. But every story I've written has a message in there. Every one, right? This one here, Nobilis. It talks about, I hope people reading go, hey, maybe there are things wrong with our system in the world. This one, it even has political messages because it's got parts of it's historical. And the world hasn't always been nice in North America historically.
Yeah. So you was telling about a book that has a political message of yours.
Well, every story I have has a small one, right? Again, I have to have a change. I have to use my ability to write to help. I don't want it to harm.
Okay.
So I don't want to harm. I want to help. It's not always easy because again, I could make a mistake and I'm sorry for that, but I am trying to help out where I can.
So you're going to create impact for sure, and you're going to say sorry before doing that.
Well, sometimes I might not say sorry. Depends upon
Okay.
who I insult.
I feel like the opposite of smile is serious, right? So your smile, if you write if you write which is opposite to that smile, I think I can imagine the intensity that you have.
It's thank you. I hope you see it, but I do. I really do. Thank you.
I will read your book to understand that.
All right, well, I'll send you a copy once we're off the interview. Do you have any other questions? Maybe there's too much snow on the line over. Who knows?
Yeah. So you are saying about something.
No, I was asking if you had any other questions. Then you
So I,
froze.
I, I asked you that I can imagine the intensity of yours by seeing your smile, because you look so intense even when you're smiling. And
Well, thank you. And it said you already have a catching smile, so kind of jealous.
so you look very powerful when you're talking.
It's because I talk from my heart. I'm being honest. I've been doing this for years, and quite frankly, I can say what I like, and I can speak about it with confidence now. Years ago, I was too scared,
Okay.
but I see that I like just the fact that I'm published, even with houses. I'm not self-publishing. I can't self-publish because I'm too damn arrogant to self-publish. I need
Okay.
somebody to humble me.
Okay.
The fact that I'm published with houses is rewarding to me because that to me means that somebody else has seen interest in my work. And if somebody else has seen interest, then I've already succeeded.
Okay.
Whether I'm a big name or a small name, somebody else has seen interest and said, I understand you.
Okay.
So now I have the confidence. 5 years ago, I didn't have this confidence.
Okay.
I wanted to be a big name. I wanted to sign with agents. I wanted multi-million dollar deals, right? Live in luxury, travel the world as an author. That might not happen, but I can take confidence that some people have wanted my works. that some people have shared my views, that some people like the works enough to go ahead and sign them.
Okay.
And that has really allowed me to relax and be confident as an author.
There are two people in you. One is the person who is inspiring the new people who wants to write, who are unable to start writing, who you are inspiring. At the same time, you are also warning people, saying that I'm going to write what exactly I feel and I don't care the consequence. Whatever
Well,
it can be negative or positive,
well,
both.
I do care about the consequence, but I care about the consequence for a reason. I care about the consequence because I want to make that consequence happen often. The only consequence I don't want to have is hurt the people I care about and hurt the people who don't deserve to be hurt. Then
Okay.
I've made a mistake. But again, that's why I work with teams. That's why I have other people read my work before it goes out. As far as you starting writing, other people starting writing, do it. Just do it. Get started writing. If it's bad, who cares? You can edit it.
Okay.
I trust me. My writing when I was 18 was not good at all. All right, I
Okay.
had some interesting characters. That's what I had going for me. But it was dragging on. It was long. It was long winded. I would go into massive descriptions about, building a potato cannon. I spent an entire chapter building and designing it. So 2,000 words building a potato cannon for a character, basically a tube that fires a potato as a weapon. I spent a chapter writing it. You know what it turned
Okay.
into? Two paragraphs because I learned
Okay.
over time that that was long winded. But I had help. People
Okay.
told me, it's long winded. Probably there's two things I want to say to every author starting out there. Ask for help. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna sting your pride, right? You're gonna start writing, somebody's gonna come along and say, that's not the best. And you're gonna get all riled up. You're gonna be like, of course it's the best. I wrote it. It's down on paper. I'm a god. Wah! But that might not be the case. The second is take the plunge. Try it out. Don't let fear hold you back. Be careful when you write, yes, but don't let fear hold you back.
And also, I understood one thing when you're talking. So I think if you be alive, you will create impact. I think the only way you to stop is you should not be there.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
gonna. I've created impacts already. I have to come to that conclusion.
But
Trust.
there will be people who will face problems because of you, because of the expressions of yours.
Yeah, but
Right.
the people. Yeah, there may be,
Yeah.
and I don't want everybody hurt, but there's going to some. I'm going to offend somebody because we're all
Yeah.
different,
Yeah,
right?
but
We
you're
all have.
being very honest. I think the people who are extremely honest can create a strong impact.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to be. I wasn't always, but I'm trying now.
I'm seeing myself in you.
Well, I'm. I think we're going to have some conversations in the future. Hey, hey, bud. Okay. Sorry, one of my kids is in the room.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I have another question.
Yes.
So you are inspiring at the same time you're being yourself, and have you faced problems because of being yourself?
Yes. Yes. I have pissed off. I've pissed
Okay.
off some people, but years ago I didn't want to. Now there's people I want to piss off. There's people I want to make a point about. If you're not I said, writing is art. Art is an expression. I have to accept the fact that I'm saying sometimes things that other people might argue against, but no person is the same. I'm going to upset somebody. But I believe I'm upsetting people for the right reasons. And sometimes I'm upsetting people with different opinions than me, but in some cases, I want to. I want to upset them. I want to make them say, hey, I have something to say. I have something that's different than you. I think that you're being harmful. and I'm going to point it out.
It's nice to know a lot of good things. And you know what? From the morning, I think not morning. From last 2 days, I'm feeling unable to write something that I'm feeling or I'm thinking about. But after listening to you, I'll after this video, I'll go and open my website and I'll write about something. And you are my inspiration right now, today, this time.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask that you go ahead and I'm going to because I've only seen your YouTube link so far. Going to ask once you get it published or once you publish it to your website, you let me know, all right?
But you are extremely experienced. If you see me, I'm a kid before you, in front of you.
I was a kid at one point too. All right?
I
I
may
have
not
to
create impact on your thinking, or I may not create. Yeah,
not yet. You might not yet, but you will. The more you do it, the better, stronger you will become. I have faith in you.
thank you,
Okay?
sir. Thank you.
Oh no. The pleasure's been mine.
So do you have anything to say to the world about your books, or about world, or about something that you want to say? You have a medium today that you didn't say.
Well, I think that we've covered over a lot already. Um,
Yes.
I do have more works out coming, and I've had some publishers who are closing soon. But my books will not be lost to the publisher that's closing. I'm going to miss you. Um, but for the audience who were worried about those books, they have already all been picked up by other houses. So there's my little harp out. I'd like to thank Thurston Howell. I would like to Thurston Howell Publications. I'd like to thank Kyanite. We will miss you. I'd like to thank Black Brew Press. I'd like to thank all the publishing houses I have worked with over the years to help this come to terms. So that's Scary Dairy, that's Black Hair Press. Give me a second. I have to make sure I always say this one right because I sometimes get this wrong. Transmundane Press. I would like to thank all of them for helping me to get my words out and help me create my worlds.
So can I put this video on my YouTube and on my social accounts and on internet with your permission?
You have my permission as agreed upon by our starting of the interview.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Keep writing and keep inspiring people, and do what you love, and do what you want to do in your life.
Same to you, and don't forget, send me that link once it's published, okay?
Definitely.
All right, I'll check in with you later. You take care.
Take care, sir. We'll meet you soon.